Hey guys, today is going to be a foundation review. If you hadn't noticed from the title already, I'm going to be testing out the new Fenty, new-ish. Well, it is new, but you know what happens on YouTube. After a week, everything becomes old news. But to me, it's still new. And if you haven't got it yet, then hopefully this might help you or not help you, depending on if you stay to the end and you hear my thoughts on this. But I just wanted to come out with my own review on the Fenty Pro Filter Hydrating Foundation because, you know, I don't know if I believe anyone anymore because so much has happened online and I just want to see it for myself. So I went and I got some samples from Boots and Sephora, and I thought I'd give this a go online and let you know what I thought about this. I have tried it a few times already and I know how I feel about this, so I thought I would just share it with you guys and, you know, maybe give you a different perspective on this or not. But you'll have to see. If you want to see my thoughts on this foundation, then please keep watching. Righty-ho. So I've already done my brows and they are looking a little heavy today, I must admit, but I need to get them done, so please ignore them. So the new foundation, what's it called? New foundation is called the Pro Filter Hydrating Foundation. I'm gonna leave a link to maybe Fenty down below because you probably heard everything you need to know about what's in the foundation. I don't really care about that at this point. I just want to know how it works on me. So with the new foundation came a primer, and I tried the primer and not really a fan of primers in general, but it was quite nice. If you're looking for something to prep your skin before makeup, maybe you might be worth looking into it. The main ingredient they promoted in the primer was sodium hyaluronate, which is basically going to help plump the skin and make it look more like, why can't I speak today? It's a molecule which retains a lot of water, so it's going to help moisturize your skin. So you'll find it in a lot of products, either hyaluronic acid or the sodium version of it, which is sodium hyaluronate. You'll find it in so many products, like hyaluronic acid is in the Magic Cream from Charlotte Tilbury. It's in so many moisturizers. It's a great thing to put underneath makeup. So anything will do with hyaluronic acid or sodium hyaluronate. Basically, it plumps up your skin and makes it more juicy. I have something from Skin. It's a Korean product which my friend got for me and I'm so grateful because I love it. I've been using it for a couple of days now and I feel beautiful. No, really, it's so good. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's also, not just this one, but sodium hyaluronate is also really good for people with acne because it helps prevent the scarring that occurs with acne. This stuff is really, really good. Because it's got some of the sodium hyaluronate in the primer, I'm going to go ahead and take my rings off because I don't like it when I put makeup on my face and I've got jewelry on my hands. I feel kind of like icky and gross. I'm going to put some of this all over my face, just a couple of drops because a little goes a long way. Yeah, it feels so good. It's really liquidy and I feel like it really sinks into the skin. I've never really used a skin essence as part of my skincare routine before, but I feel like the past couple of days when I've been using this, my skin has felt really plump and really, really good. And then also for skin prep, I'm going to go in with one of my oils. I normally mix an oil with the foundation, but because I wanted to give this foundation a fair trial, I thought maybe I'll just put all the stuff on before and then I'll just put the foundation on top so you can see how it goes on my skin. So the one that I'm going to use is the one from Sonia Roselli. It's the water oil skin prep. I basically squirt about 3 pumps onto my palm. I'm just going to pat this in all over my face. I feel this stuff is so good. This is probably one of my favorite things to use for skin prep. I love the water balm, I love this oil, and I love the elixir that she came out with. Sonia Roselli is probably the queen of a skin prep and nothing else works as good as her product. I just love the way that everything sits on top of my skin after I use it. It just feels so good and my skin is quite dry, so it generally drinks up all the liquid out of a product, but when I put this on, I feel like this sinks into my skin and preps it enough so that it doesn't drink all the liquid out of the foundation and I don't look dry and cakey, and it looks so smooth and so good afterwards. I'm trying to give this foundation a lot of help. Okay, so this hair is bugging the shit out of me. It's basically reminding me of me when I was younger, you know? I never used to follow any rules, I never used to listen, I never used to go with the flow, I always used to have a mind of my own. This is reminding me of that. That's probably how my mother felt about me. Now I get why you so mad, mama. The last step, I'm just going to apply some of this Too Faced Hangover 3-in-1 setting spray and primer. I don't normally do this step unless I'm feeling really dry. I think I've broken the top of this. Fuck. My skin is relatively dry, so I try to go in with as many thin layers as possible so that I know nothing is going to ruin the foundation and it's going to last as long as possible. This is what this foundation is meant to do. It's supposed to last really long, so that's what I'm going to test out today. I have tested this out a few times before in the UK, but not here in the Philippines, in a different climate, so I'm going to give that a go. So a little problem that I came across was that I know that I'm shade 250 because I am that shade in the Pro Filter Soft Matte Foundation, and I really like that colour on me. And then I went to go pick up a sample, but little did I know that I was going to Dubai. Well, I knew I was going to Dubai, but little did I know that when I got to Dubai that I would be sitting in direct sunlight for about 2 days. So I'm about 10 shades darker than I should be, but I promise you, can you see? It matches. So I'm going to give this a go anyway because I feel like it's been long enough that I've been waiting for my skin colour to go back to normal, and frankly I don't really care. So I know that this is the right colour for me when I'm not tanned, but I kind of wanted to show you what it looks like when you apply it so that you see what it's like for somebody who has dry skin. Also, I was kind of like skeptical because every review that I've seen has given it glowing, positive, beautiful reviews, and I just felt like there must be something. There has to be something that somebody doesn't like about this. There has to be something. So I thought, why not give it a go? It's an itty bitty sample which I picked up from Boots. I actually picked up 2. I picked up one from Boots and one from Sephora. Now the people at Boots in the UK are so much more generous with their sample than the people at Sephora in Dubai. First of all, I'm not going to buy a foundation just to do a review if I don't know if I like it. I'm not going to go ahead and buy it in the hope that I will like it because of what other people say, because ain't nobody got time for that. So I picked up 2 samples. I do this quite often. I go around and I pick up as many samples as I can. I know it's not the greatest thing to do, I know it's not the best thing to do, but it's something that I do so that I know if I'm spending my money correctly. Like I said, I've tried this a few times. I'll share my thoughts with you at the end of the video. But I'm going to do, like, one side I think I'm going to do brush, and the other side I'm going to do Beauty Blender. Well, not Beauty Blender, the Fenty sponge. So I'm going to give this a go. It's going to look really light. Look at that. The fuck is that noise? Jeez, yes. I promise you this does match my usual colour. And also it oxidizes, right? So don't judge me yet. Can you see how much darker I've become? Back! Okay, let's just blend this out and see how this goes. Now can you all see why I kept saying no, I don't want to review this right now? Because in case you haven't noticed, this looks awful. Now I'm going to do the other side with a beauty blender. Fuck, this looks so bad. I'll turn my light down a little bit so you can see. I can hate this way that this looks right now. I'm going to try and do the rest of my makeups to see if I can make up for doing what I just did, which I fully get that the colour was far too light for me to use right now, and it's going to make me look grey and ashy, and I get all that, but that's not the kind of thing that I wanted to show you guys today. I wanted to show you what it does to my skin. Now you see, this is doing exactly what it was doing to me in the UK, and over there I had dry skin, so over here I'm a bit more moist and a bit more like dewy, and my oils come through the foundation all the time, but I feel like it's doing the same thing here as it's doing back in the UK. I'm going to try and see if I can make this work before I give you my final thoughts. Fully aware that the colour is off, so don't come at me for that. but it is actually the texture that it causes on my skin, which I don't like. But I'll show you this once I put everything back on. I'll be right back. Right, finally put on everything else, and I feel like it looks a bit better, but my personal preference is I like to go a tiny bit warmer with my foundation anyway, so this is a tiny bit too light for my liking, even though it matches me when I'm a bit fairer. But aside from the color, I put some more bronzer on, man. I feel so pasty. Right, so I've done the rest of my face and I've come back to tell you my final thoughts. I'm going to start off with the positives, the pros if you will. I feel like this finish of the foundation is really pretty. So it looks really dewy. If you look at my cheek area, I'm not wearing any highlight, I'm just wearing a Luminoso blush. There are a tiny bit of reflex in the blush, but I haven't taken it all the way up my cheek. So if you can see here, it gives a really nice dewy finish, but it's not dewy like a normal dewy foundation. You know, like when you put on a foundation and it can feel like a tiny bit tacky to the touch. This one is not tacky at all. If I touch something, let me touch something white, like this cotton pad, nothing on there. There's like no transfer at all with this, which is really nice. This definitely feels like it will be long lasting because it doesn't transfer. I've let this sink in for about an hour and a half already now, because I like foundations when they've kind of melted into the skin. You've got more of an idea what you're dealing with, rather than upon first application, where of course it's going to look okay because you've just applied it, but after an hour you kind of gauge the situation a tiny bit more. I wanted to do a full-on day of a wear test of this, but I'll explain later why I chose not to do that. I'll just give you an update now and that will be it. When I apply foundation, I normally powder it and then go in with powder products like bronzer and stuff. This one dried down so nicely. Not only did I not need powder to set it, other products do work really nicely with this. Normally if I apply a powder bronzer straight on top of foundation, I find it kind of like gets patchy because it sticks to the liquid, so I normally have to put powder on top. So for people who want to miss a step or even don't really like powdering their faces, this will be a good option for you, because you don't have to worry about powdering your face in order to put some powder bronzers or anything on top. You can go straight in with the product. Of course the color selection is Fenty, so you know it's going to be a massive range. It's inclusive. That's the best thing about Fenty. That's why people are die-hard fans for the brand, because it gave a sense of inclusion, and I love that about it. But, and I say that nicely because I want to lead into my not so favorite parts about the foundation. I'm going to zoom you in so you can see exactly what I mean when I'm talking about this. Although the finish of the foundation looks really beautiful, it looks dewy, but it's not greasy or oily or anything. Although it looks like that, if I zoom you in right now, you'll see what I'm talking about. Before we talk about the color selection, because I know that the color was off in this video because it matched my normal skin tone and not my summer skin tone, so I'm ignoring the fact that the color might look a tiny bit grey, although I don't think it looks that grey. I don't think it looks that bad at all. I think it looks quite nice. But anyway, if you see down here, I don't know if it's picking it up on camera, you'll see I have these kind of white patches almost. I don't know what they are, but this foundation really emphasizes them. I've got them all over my chin, and it looks even worse in person, and then I have it all over my forehead, and I freaking cannot stand the way this looks. It looks god awful, and I would never want to apply this foundation to my forehead or my chin because of that. I don't know what's causing it to happen, because in this area it looks really nice and pretty, but then it comes into my nose as well. It's really picking up on all the dry patches around my nose. I have so many whiteheads on my nose and it causes so much texture, so that's what I like about the other foundation, the matte one, because it kind of blurs those, but this one highlights each and every whitehead and you can see it all on my face. But you can see here, I noticed here when I was driving, I just popped out for an hour, I noticed that the foundation has lifted from here and it looks really cakey around there, and even around the mouth it looks like I've applied it too much. I didn't actually do that, I applied a tiny bit, but this is what's bothering me the most. I just came back from a meeting and I felt so insecure in that meeting because I felt like you can see all of my imperfections, and I have a lot of them. I just don't like the way that this foundation emphasizes all of those bits. I just don't like it at all. The only place it looks nice is on my cheeks, and that's because I think this area of my face does quite well because the skin is okay, therefore product will sit nicely on it. But if you have any, I want to say acne, texture, anything like that, I feel like it's going to emphasize it with this. Don't quote me on it, just try it and see how you feel and let me know, because this is how I feel, and this is supposed to be like everyone's favorite. Everyone raves about this foundation. I'm going to zoom you back out because I know that this is a bit too in my face. So for for the tea. No, I'm just messing. It's really not that serious. It's just a foundation. There are other more important and devastating things happening in the world. Like, for example, Boris Johnson is Prime Minister of the UK. Anyway, we're talking about Fenty and Rihanna. I love Rihanna. She's like boss lady. Yeah, so aside from the fact that I don't like the way that it sits on all my dry patches, another thing that I didn't really like about the foundation is the fact that you can't really add layers on top of each other because it starts looking really, really cakey. So I put on a really thin layer, as thin as I could, because it's quite a pigmented foundation, and I just feel like it was still almost too cakey in some areas, and I don't know if that's because my skin is too dry, so it's drinking up all the liquid in the foundation. I assume this foundation would be aimed at dry skinned people because it's a hydrating foundation, but the way I feel like it is that it's almost like the matte one, but it has a hydrating finish, so it's not really a hydrating foundation. Does that make sense? I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who thinks like that, and it's fine because it's my opinion. That's my opinion! I just wanted to be extra picky about it because although I love Fenty and everything that it stands for, I just feel like all the reviews I've watched are just really hyped up, and they're all like, yeah, you should buy this foundation, it's so good, and no one really gives any negatives or any like drawbacks. There's drawbacks in everything. How can there not be any negativity around this foundation? It makes no sense whatsoever. Another thing that you guys might be concerned about is the fact that I put on a colour which was my normal colour and now I'm a bit more tan, and I feel like it's oxidized to my tan colour. I don't really mind it because I quite like looking brown, but for those of you who really are specific about just throwing on a foundation and walking out the door, gotta be careful with this one because it does oxidize a little bit. I'm the kind of person, I like to put foundation on and then I like to highlight my face, so I like to put a lot of different colours in thin layers, and although it might work if you're going to use different products, if you are a one product kind of girl, you might not like the fact that it oxidizes, so just be careful of that. I saved this one till the end because this is kind of subjective at this point, because you either love it or you hate it about this, and I feel like this foundation is too pigmented. Yeah, I'll say that again. This foundation I feel is too pigmented, and that means when I apply foundation, I like it as a first base kind of thing. So I like to apply it and then be able to reapply it in areas that I need it. I don't like to go in full coverage with my foundation on step one, and that's just my personal preference. I like a shade to medium coverage foundation which allows me to build up, and this foundation does not allow you to build up because it's just so like hardcore bam full coverage in the first swipe. And although some people like that, for the everyday woman who has things in the real world, who goes to a corporate job, who does other things, she might not want that. I'm really talking from my personal experience because I worked in a corporate job and I never really wore foundation to work because it just made me feel like I was doing too much, you know what I mean? I like something to be a tiny bit more buildable, and this just wasn't it for me, and it just made me so sad because I thought this would be a different style of foundation, but I feel like I said before, it is the same kind of thing as the Pro Filter matte foundation. Maybe they might come out with different styles, I don't know. I definitely think that this one is a pass for me. The cons of the foundation outweigh the pros for me, and I've got other foundations which I like. The biggest thing for me is that it enhances all the bad things about my skin. Oh, another thing. Another issue I have with the foundation, which I kind of refer to it as a positive on another point, is the fact that you don't have to use powder. And for me, I love using powder on the areas where I like to blur my face a little bit. So like my forehead, I use quite a bit of powder. Even down here on my nose, I like to use a tiny bit of powder as well. So the fact that if you put powder on top of this, it kind of looks a bit more dry and cakey, and it just, I love to use powder, so it depends what kind of person you are. So for me, that's a negative. Someone who might just like to throw on a foundation and walk out the door, that might be a plus thing for you. But like I said, for me, I love to powder stuff, and I feel like everything goes into like fine lines and stuff for me. I don't really have such big lines, but I can see around my under eyes, around my smile lines, it's really synced in, which I don't love. Like I said, I like to powder those, but each to their own. That's just a personal preference for me. But yeah, overall, even though I love Fenty as a brand and it makes me feel so sad to do this, but I wouldn't recommend this foundation. Although the finish is really nice, I feel like the underlying points that I've made about the cons, it's not buildable, it's too pigmented, it catches all the areas of my face which are dry and accentuates them, it enhances texture for me anyway. Those things are things that I like to hide with my foundation. I like fuller coverages but not full coverages. Does that make sense? I like something which is like medium to full kind of, which I can powder and make a full coverage, but I don't like my foundation to be full coverage. It's the same reason why I didn't buy the Huda Beauty one, because I just felt like it was just too much was going on. Like, who needs that much coverage in their life? Because I don't know anyone who needs that much coverage. As a makeup artist, I've worked on so many different faces, and I can tell you this, nobody that has sat in my chair has needed full coverage. Even if they feel like their skin isn't that great, they don't need full coverage. Out of the Huda Beauty and this one, definitely this one, because the Huda Beauty one stank. I really don't like Huda face products. I feel like there's too much going on, and it's just not so, it's not my kind of thing. So I don't know what else to say about that. Yeah, but if you ask me, I feel like the cons of the foundation outweigh the pros. So even though the finish is nice, I could probably get the finish with another foundation. Even though the other foundation might be slightly tackier to the touch, I don't mind that because I can just powder it off a little bit and it'll be fine. There's nothing about this foundation that makes me want to grab it, and I just feel so sad because I was so excited for this release. I actually wanted to do a wear test for you guys, but because it just feels like just feels like too much is going on around here. I can feel the liquid and I don't like it. I am going to take this off right now, and it's only been what, 2 hours that I've had it on. Yeah, it's not so great. We can't all like the same things. Anyway, so that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this wasn't too negative, and if you try the foundation and you love it, that's really great for you, but for me, it's a pass. If you haven't already subscribed, please click the subscribe button down below and the notification bell next to it. If you have any comments, queries or concerns, leave them in the comment section down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! The main thing that they promoted in this the main ingredient they promote in the main thing they promoted in this why can't I speak today? More youthful and more plump, and you know, just what the fuck is going on here?